Good evening to you all. Today, we're going to talk about the sixth episode from the story of Prophet Yusuf, titled indeed, I am a knowledgeable guardian. He said, appoint me over the storehouses of the land. Indeed, I am a good keeper and knowledgeable. The meaning here is that Yusuf is telling the king of Egypt, make me your governor over your land and the keeper of your storehouses, and I will be trustworthy with them and knowledgeable about the details of the years of hardship, drought, and famine, and the problems this country will face. Some scholars say that when Yusuf said this to the king removed Katfur from his position as the Aziz of Egypt, because Katfur died. After the king died, Yusuf was given authority over all of Egypt and was made its Aziz. Whose place did he take? Katfur's place. And he also married Zulika. The important thing is that when Yusuf entered with Zulika, he found her to be a virgin. So he said to her, isn't this better than what you used to want? You used to tempt me against myself, and you wanted me to commit indecency with you, to do something forbidden. Now, we have become husband and wife in what is lawful, isn't this better? That's the meaning of what was said. And she bore him Ephraim and Mesha. There's another opinion that says no. When Katfur died, Zulika became completely destitute. She became a poor woman. The important thing is, her acquaintances and neighbors said to him, go ask the help of the new Aziz of Egypt, who is Yusuf. But she said to them, no, I am too ashamed to go to him. But with the severity of poverty, hunger, and all these hardships, she went out to the road. She waited for the procession of Yusuf as he was coming by. When she saw his procession, his clothes, the guards, the servants, and the entourage, she said, glory be to the one who made slaves, through obedience, into kings, and made kings, through disobedience, into slaves. That was her impression, or her first reaction, when she saw him coming in his procession. Anyway, Yusuf saw her and stopped the procession and said to her, do you still desire me? Do you still love me? Do you still want me? Me. So Zulika replied and said to him, are you mocking me? Leave me be. I have grown old, don't blame me. I mean, I've grown old. I've become elderly, basically an old woman. She said to him, don't blame me because I was afflicted with love for you. And I was afflicted with a husband who was impotent, unable to perform his usual duties, his normal function, I mean, as a husband or fulfill his marital duties. So she said to him, I asked God to restore my youth. So Joseph prayed to God to restore her youth, and God did restore her youth. So he married her while she was a virgin, meaning her youth returned to her and her virginity was restored. And there are others who say, no, when he marries her in the first place. So, what's the source? I'll mention it just once for anyone who wants to refer back to this. The source is Majma al-Bayan fi Tafsir al-Quran by al-Tabasi. In the entire chapter of Yusuf, from beginning to end. The question is, now, can a person describe themselves with any divine attributes, like how Yusuf described himself as trustworthy and knowledgeable? Because, keep in mind, it's true that God is trustworthy and knowledgeable over the entire universe, while Yusuf was trustworthy and knowledgeable over Egypt, which is just a small part of the universe. But the question still remains. Can an ordinary person, even if he is a prophet, describe himself with divine attributes like trustworthy and knowledgeable? The second question is, did Yusuf marry Zulika and have children with her Ephraim and Mesha, or did he not marry her? And if he did marry her, what is the evidence? And if he didn't marry her, what is the evidence? The point to note here is what he says. He said what you see in red here. So, the meaning here, or the point being made, is that the statement is attributed to Yusuf, but the narration is from God. And thus we established Yusuf in the land, so he could settle wherever he wished. We bestow our mercy on whomever we will, and we do not let the reward of the good doers go to waste. The meaning here is that God is saying, we have indeed bestowed favor upon Yusuf by granting him the land of Egypt, so he could act in it as he wished. And we also blessed him with both religious and worldly blessings. And there are people who say that Yusuf invited the king of Egypt, or the Pharaoh of Egypt, to Islam. And when the king embraced Islam, a great many people followed him. The question here is, how did Yusuf invite the Pharaoh of Egypt to Islam, and how did so many people follow him and enter Islam, when Islam itself is the message of the Prophet Muhammad, who had not yet been born? The point to note here is that it is God himself who is speaking, saying, and thus we God established, we God grant. Our mercy we God to whom we will, and we God do not let the reward of the righteous go to waste. So, the words here are clearly from God himself. And surely, the reward of the hereafter is better for those who believe, those who are mindful of him. The meaning is that God will grant Joseph in the hereafter a reward far greater than what he gave him in this world of power and blessings. The point to note here is that this verse is connected to the previous one. So the conversation here is still God speaking. And the brothers of Joseph came and entered upon him, and he recognized them, but they did not recognize him. The meaning here is that after Joseph had become Joseph, the powerful man of Egypt, the famine began to affect people throughout the whole region. Jacob gathered his sons and said to them, I've heard that there is plenty of food being sold in Egypt, and that the ruler there is a righteous man. What do you think about traveling to Egypt? Maybe he will be kind to you and give you food, because as you can see, the situation is dire with the famine and drought. And the rain has stopped, and hunger is hitting the whole region, so we need to find a way to survive. Anyway, they listened to what he said and their father, and they traveled to Egypt, and they went to Joseph to buy food. The important thing is, they were 10. And who was leading them? Simeon, before Joseph. As soon as they entered and saw Joseph, he recognized them and understood who they were. He knew they were his brothers, but they didn't recognize him. Because after 40 years of throwing their brother into the well, their brother Joseph, they never imagined that he would become a king, sitting on the throne of power, and wearing royal clothes. This was something that never even crossed their minds, or their thoughts. But Joseph himself, with his heart and the prophecy he possessed, was waiting for them. He felt that his brothers were on their way to him. The important thing is, when they entered upon him, he looked at them and a conversation took place between them in Hebrew. Joseph asked them, Who are you and why have you come here? He said to them, and they replied, We are shepherds from the land of the Levant, and we've been struck by drought. Our father told us that there is a good king in Egypt. Go to Egypt, so we came to buy food. So he responded to them, Maybe you are spies, for example, coming to scout, and look for the weak spots in my country. They replied to him, No, we're not spies. There are 10 of us, we're brothers, all sons of one father, and he is Jacob, son of Isaac, son of Abraham, and he is very sad. And he weeps a lot. So he said to them, Well, what made him so sad? They said to him, He had a young son, and about 40 years ago, we took him with us one day to play. Then, well, the wolf ate him, you could say. So our father is still sad and cries for him. So Joseph asked them, Are you all from the same father and mother? Do you get what I mean? So they told him, No, we have one father, Jacob, but our mothers are more than one. If you remember Rachel and Leah very well. So he asked them, Why did your father send you and keep only one with him? They said, Our father sent us and kept Benjamin with him to look after him. because Benjamin is the full brother of our younger brother, the one who was a little kid when we were young. All right. So Joseph replied to them and said, he told them, no, you have to bring me your younger brother if what you're saying is true. They said to him, honestly, we'll go back. I mean, we'll tell our father, but our father will be very sad about being separated from him. He is the full brother, Benjamin is the full brother of our brother Joseph, the one the wolf supposedly ate 40 years ago. Still, we'll ask our father, and if he agrees, we'll bring him. So he said to them, no, the matter won't go like this. One of you must stay here with me as a hostage until you bring me Benjamin, who is Joseph's brother. So they cast lots, and who did the lot fall on? Simeon, so he would stay as a hostage for Joseph. That's simply the explanation of the conversation that happened between Joseph and his brothers as soon as they entered to see him. The point here is that this conversation is between Joseph and his brothers, and the narration is from God. And when he had furnished them with their supplies, he said, bring me a brother of yours from your father. Do you not see that I give full measure, and I am the best of hosts? The meaning here is that Joseph gave each of them a camel load of food and told them, bring me your brother, who is Benjamin, the one from your father, who is Joseph's full brother. Bring him and come back to me. Aren't you seeing that I have treated you well, that I have been a generous host to you, and that I do not cheat people out of their belongings, and I give them full measure? Bring your brother back to me. He wants to tell them that he is a good person and will not harm them if they return with his brother. The point here is that he said, meaning someone is talking about Joseph in the third person. But here, it's Joseph speaking, and the narration is from God. If you do not bring him to me, there will be no measure for you from me, and do not come near me. The meaning here is that he is continuing his words. Joseph himself is telling them, if you do not return with your younger brother, Benjamin, you will have no food with me, and do not come near me. Don't come near me or my house again. The point here is that the statement is from Joseph, and the narration is from God. They said, we will try to persuade his father, and we will surely do it. The meaning here is that Joseph's brothers told him they would ask their father to let Benjamin go with them, and we will bring him to you as you commanded. The note here is that the word they said means the statement is from Joseph's brothers, and the narration is from God. And he said to his servants, put their merchandise back into their saddlebags so they may recognize it when they return to their family, so that they might come back. The meaning is that Joseph told his servants, who were the ones serving him food and loading it onto the camels and all that, he told them, give them the provisions they brought, because back then they used to exchange goods. It wasn't about money. No, I will give you something from the Levant and you give me food. Like, I might bring you hides and you give me food, for example. So they used to bring goods with them to exchange for food. He told them, no, give them the food and load for them the camels, and also put with them the goods they had brought, so that they could return with their brother. Of course, they would realize it, they would know that we put the food for them and also returned their goods as well. So when they return and unload all of this, they will find that we have returned to them what they brought. The source here asks a question. Why didn't Joseph reveal himself to them, even though he knew that his father was grieving, or sad about his separation? The same source answers, saying that if they had known he was Joseph, they might not have returned to him with his full brother Benjamin. The question here is, what is the wisdom behind repeating perhaps twice in the verse? As for the clarification, it is, and he said, meaning Joseph said. So the statement is from Joseph, and the narration is from God. When they returned to their father, they said, "O our father, the measure has been withheld from us, so send our brother with us, so that we may get our measure, and we will surely protect him. The meaning is that when the sons of Jacob returned to their father, he asked them, I don't hear Simeon's voice with you. Where is he? They said, the king wants to see Benjamin, so he took Simeon as a hostage until he gets Benjamin, and he wants a letter from you telling him that you are sad. Why? What's the reason for your sadness? And what's the reason for your loss of sight if we don't bring Benjamin back with us? We won't get any more food, and we won't be able to survive again. We promise you that we'll protect him from any harm. The emphasis here is that they said, meaning the words here are from Joseph's brothers, and the narration is from God. He said, can I trust you with him as I trusted you with his brother before? But God is the best protector, and he is the most merciful of the merciful. The meaning is that Jacob replied to his sons and said to them, I will give you Benjamin, and I will send him with you with a message from me to the king of Egypt. But I do not trust you with him, because I previously trusted you with Joseph, and you told me that that you would protect him, but you lost him. However, God will protect Benjamin and return him to me out of mercy for my weakness and old age. The point here is that the word he said means that someone is speaking about Jacob in the third person. The second point is that the statement is from Jacob, but the narration is from God. And when they opened their belongings, they found their goods returned to them. They said, O our father, what more could we want? This is our merchandise returned to us, and we will provide for our family. And we will protect our brother, and we will get an extra camel's load. That is an easy measure. The meaning is, when Joseph's brothers opened their belongings after reaching their father and opened their packs, they found that Joseph had given them the food and also returned their goods, the ones they had brought to exchange for food. They said to their father, O our father, the ruler of Egypt gave us the food for free and even returned the goods that we had taken with us to buy the food. He gave us the full measure, plus our goods and the food. So he fulfilled the measure for us, and even added to it the food and our goods. All of this is good. So they said to him, there's no way we should fear for our brother Benjamin from someone who has treated us so well. Let us take him with a message from you and go to the ruler of Egypt so he can give us food. And we will protect our brother during the journey. And we will bring him back to you safely, along with a share of the food as well, just like our own share. Because what we got is really very little compared to the abundance that the ruler of Egypt has, which, by the way, they still don't know what it is at this point. I mean, it's good, they still don't know his name is Joseph. The point to note here is that the word they said, which is highlighted in red here, means that the statement was addressed to the brothers of Joseph, and the narration is from God. The last point I really want to mention here is that God refers to himself in the first person in the entire Surah Yusuf about 14 times. Other than that, the rest of the speech is from humans, and God is simply quoting their words and recording them as verses in the Quran, because all the speech is either from Joseph to Jacob, from Joseph's brothers, or from Zuleika, or meaning the Pharaoh of Egypt. All of these are speaking, and the Quran is conveying their speech as verses and recording it in the Quran. Here, the matter boils down to only two possibilities. The events that took place between Joseph and his brothers on earth happened by divine will. And here, if all these events really did happen, happened by divine will, meaning Joseph, that is, God revealed to Joseph's brothers and told them to take him and throw him into the well. Then he revealed to another group of travelers and told them to take him out of the well. Then he told them to sell him to Potiphar, or the Aziz of Egypt. If all of this happened by divine will, up until Joseph became the ruler of Egypt, or the Aziz of Egypt, that means we are dealing with a scenario where it happened without God. The second hypothesis is that the events that took place between Joseph, his brothers, his father, Zuleika, and others, happened on earth by their own independent human will, completely separate from the will of God. This means that if these events had changed on earth, then naturally the Quran would have changed as well. Why? Because changing the events, changing the course of human events on earth in time and place and would have changed. It would have changed the verses of the Quran. So that's only natural, meaning that a human being, by his will independent from God's will, is the one who, through his actions, determined this order, this sequence, and the revelation of the verses of what? The Quran. Now, pay attention here. I'm talking about divine will, not divine knowledge, because God knows what was, what is, and what will be. There's a difference between knowledge and will. God knows, yes, he knows, but does he will it? No. Everything that happened by complete human will, and God covered it with Quranic verses. That's it, nothing more. Period. Meaning, let me give you an example. If Zuleika had not tried to seduce Joseph, would we have seen that story if Zuleika had not tried to seduce Joseph, if he had not committed immorality with her? We would not have seen those verses. The Quran is a partnership between humans and God. It is a partnership between earth and heaven. The Quran is a subsequent stage to the events on earth. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode.